up a little bit more, right?
Oh, okay.
So
there we
it is.
go. Yeah.
It's dry fit too.
Nice.
Yeah, and I hardly ever wear anything but Fresco, but today we're honoring Power 98, so I'm wearing their shirt. So yeah, I mean, if you want to do the Wave listener takeover, you're gonna be hanging out with a bunch of youngins, those cool kids, right, over in Power 98.
Well, I mean, not everybody can say, for 200 for 2 hours, I made $700.
Yeah,
So that's like
it's
350
more than
350 an hour.
I think that's what lawyers make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard any non-billionaires say, oh yeah, I make like $12.
So
I make like $9 an hour.
I thought I'd just share that with our Wave listeners. Anybody that works for Glimpses Media cannot win, right? Anybody that works at the radio stations cannot win. Your family members can't win.
Can I resign for one day and then come back tomorrow?
Yeah, family members can't win. So, I mean, that takes all of those people out of the equation. But anybody 18 years and older, right, that shows up tonight between 6 and 8 and has that Glimpses radio app, that's us, Wave 105, Route 99, and Power 98, has an opportunity to go home with some money, some shmoney, right? With gas prices the way it is, everything's just expensive. You don't have to wait for the legislature and the governor to fight over whether or not they want to give you $1,600 or an energy credit. You can show up tonight.
Yeah.
And it's if 3 people show up, guarantee you're going away with $100
or even $7.
The less people that show up, the better your chances.
Well, look at it.
But I was told, Dice was telling me, no. Plenty people are going to be there tonight. And we got DJ Jen show that's going to be there.
Nice. Okay, so let me just give it a much clearer perspective here.
Yeah.
If you're at the gas station recently, okay, and you're down to your last $20, and you're saying to yourself, man, I have to gas 20 because it's going to last me for the whole week before I get paid. Well, here's the thing. Gas at $20, go down there. Chances are you might win.
You might. I mean, that's all you got to do. It's pretty easy. There's still, nobody can buy more tickets, right?
Yeah.
So it's you and everybody else that shows up tonight.
Yeah.
And, I like those odds.
Yeah. I mean, so you show them the app.
Yeah.
They get one ticket.
Yes.
All right, so there you go. I mean, it's not like, okay, Pauly can buy 10 tickets.
Can't buy any. No, there's no buying.
And he has 10 chances to win versus my one ticket.
Nope.
Yeah, so it's equal playing field,
Right.
everyone.
Maybe you show up in a disguise and then you can try to trick us.
Or
you can try to be like, oh, you look familiar. No, not.
Okay.
This is my first time coming over here to get a ticket.
But just so you know, it's only one phone, okay? You cannot have like 3 phones.
Yeah, you can't be like 2 chains and with 2 phones and be like, here's one phone and here's my other phone. No. Now, if you come with friends, then all of you and your friends all have one chance, right? One ticket. And so obviously, if you fool me, then you fooled me, and you might get an extra ticket. But there'll be people watching. I think Rick is more strict than I am, and so we're all going to be paying attention.
It's
to
always
who's
the sales
getting,
guy, right? That's
yeah,
strict.
Yeah.
I mean, us jocks will
Right.
be like, "Hey, man, come on over, man."
No, we're not going to do that. We want equal opportunity. We are not going to be giving our friends extra tickets.
Yeah.
I promise you, if you show up, it's going to be a great time. And it will be fair.
I think everybody in Glimpses Radio should run for office because they're making life easier just giving out money.
Yeah. It sure is. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? So, again, 6 p.m., show up with the Glimpses Radio app on your phone already. Obviously, you show up, you're like, how do I find it? We'll help you.
Yeah.
We'll help you download it onto your phone.
Nice.
And then you have it. And then I don't care. Delete it when you get in your car after, especially if you lose.
Yeah.
I don't like this app no more.
Yeah.
But I think you're gonna like the app because you're gonna have on your phone all three of our stations.
Yes.
Right? That you can just go from one to the other. If you like country, oh my goodness, Route 99 is where it's at.
Okay.
And then obviously you'll have us. And then if you don't like what we're talking about, then go over to the Cool Kids on Power 98. And so you have the access to go from one station to the other. And it's crispy clear.
Yes, it
and you
is.
can make song requests on the app too and shout outs. You can even record yourself.
Yeah.
Somebody's on the line?
Yeah, we got
All
someone
right.
on the line.
Half a day, Wave 105, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello there.
Yes,
Hey.
Your Uncle Dave and I were all excited. We already got the Power 98 on our phone.
There
until
you
he
go.
said We're disqualified.
You are disqualified, Dad, but maybe Uncle Dave, I don't know. I mean, they're not going to Uncle is like how far apart though, so
Well,
I won't
he
call
gave
him
us a-
Uncle Dave when I see him tonight.
Yeah, well, just
be
for
like,
that,
"Sir."
I'm going to wear a good disguise.
There you go. Here you go,
You're not
sir.
gonna
I have
recognize
no
your own
idea who
daddy.
you are.
I could imagine if you did win, Chief. It's like, yes, winner,
Yeah, no,
Paul
that's
Suba.
not- that's
what?
not happening. No, that's the ultimate Gov Guam corruption. Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that.
You know, I'm just joking. Come
I
on,
know,
guys.
yeah.
Let's not go
We're
that
not
far.
doing that.
But I'll still wear the disguise.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have some fun. It's 6 to 8 tonight. Tell all your
right.
friends. $100,
Is it
$200.
free ultra?
It's free if you're buying.
Oh, that's too much. Man. Well, I'll take my disguise off. Then.
There you
Okay.
go.
Hey, you guys have
Okay.
Thank
fun.
you,
I like
sir.
it already. All right.
All right. Yeah, people are getting excited. You know, it's one of those things where people are like, "Oh yeah, I heard about it," and then on Monday they're like, "Wait a minute, how much are you giving away?" You're like, "Oh, I'll be there."
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of excitement, a lot of energy on our sister station. They're giving away T-shirts over the air all day yesterday and today. If you do win a T-shirt on Power 98, you have to show up tonight from 6 to 8 in order to get that T-shirt. So there's that, right? So, I mean, just because you got your name picked on Power 98, just remember, in order to get that shirt, you got to pick it up tonight. If you come to the office claiming your T-shirt tomorrow, it won't be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody else on the line?
Yes.
Half a day, Wave 105, you're on the air. Hello there.
Pauly.
Half a day, senor.
Hey, man, I heard your dad.
Yeah.
He won the T-shirt, huh?
No, he didn't win a T-shirt. He's just excited because we're giving away money, and he's just excited to
money?
hang out tonight at 6. Yeah, over at Boonies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He may or may not be there, but there's a good chance he will.
Sir, you call Sir Dave, huh? Not Uncle.
Oh, I call him Uncle, but not tonight because then we can't be related, right? So I'll just be like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's you know, I got a lot of people calling me that, but
Yeah.
they're not my niece, they're not my
right,
nephew.
right.
But I understood that it's respect.
Absolutely, it is respect for sure. Yeah, especially
At the bank, they call me Uncle. They go, no, don't call me that.
especially
You
because
know, the bank will call me Uncle.
Right. Oh yeah,
I say don't call me that, just call me Sir
right,
or Mister.
right. Well,
But,
I've known
if
Uncle
I'm
Dave
outside the
since I
bank,
was a
you know,
child.
do the business. I hate to be called that,
I
but
get
you know, outside it's okay.
I get it.
respect-
Yeah, absolutely,
you know.
right.
And,
No, yeah.
You know, so anyway, regarding that, you make that panel.
Uh-huh.
You know, that started from way back from Ada, and it was a good hospital. Ada,
Yeah.
You know, Ada administration,
Mm-hmm.
two-term governor. Then
Mhm.
then he went to Terry's, and he kind of renovate that hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But I never heard that panel, man. Then after the Terry's administration, then Kamoto administration, they got accredited from I don't know what association is that, or Western Association. It sounded like the college, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he went to Kawa, and it started from the electrical panel.
Right. Their whole electrical system.
Previous his name is John. Let me see.
Peter John.
Peter John Dave.
Peter John. Yeah.
Because I remember him. He was administrator way back Grenada.
Yeah.
And he came back from under Kabul administration. And until now, this administration is coping with that panel. But actually, there's more to that, right? That's not the electrical, right? Because GPA, Zambia Mensis goes there and check it out,
That's what they were saying, that they're monitoring the system. That's what they were saying the other day, 2 days ago, during the oversight hearing, that they are monitoring the whole system, the electrical system, right? And they have engineers from GPA that are monitoring it.
One last thing, Pauly, I'll let you go.
Okay.
I wish your dad come back to be a chief because he can catch a lot of mess,
Sure. Well, who knows?
When he was a chief, he patrols, so he doesn't put himself.
Right.
You write a report.
Right.
And a lot of patrolmen say, "Wow, he's the chief of a writing report." Hey.
Well, if you're doing,
call that he's assisting the patrol, outman the patrol. That's how I look at it.
Well, if you're doing something illegal, right, and you're doing it in front of a peace officer or just somebody like my dad, of course he's gonna do the right thing.
Man, I'm very impressed with that. That chief because he's been capturing all types of crimes,
Right.
But more than the meth,
Right.
Because it was controlled, it was pretty much controlling the crime. But right now, I don't know if the Attorney General is right about the crime scene in Fort Authority. Maybe he's right because a lot of broken steel.
Well, we'll get to that because that was a public hearing this morning. Was it this morning? No,
Yeah.
It was yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, there was a public hearing on a bill from Senator Therese
I've been
Chalayan.
listening to this talk show ever since way back during John Anderson.
Uh-huh.
That's how far way back I listened.
Oh, wow.
I like to listen instead of calling. But sometimes I feel like calling,
Well, thank you.
Just recently I start calling.
That's good. I'm glad.
So, hey, Pauly, I'll let you go. And,
Okay.
Nice talking to you, and I'm glad to hear your dad on the wave 105.1.2.
All right, senor. Thank you so
sir.
much. Take care.
Ryan, it seems like he's pretty good. He knows a lot.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah. Well, you have two sons of police officers here, so we try to
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who's that?
He actually used to work with Pauly's dad, Sergeant J.Q. Sanchez from Pneumatic.
JQ?
Yeah.
Okay, that's he's sergeant major, right?
Actually, no, he retired as a lieutenant back in '88. Yeah. After
he's a good officer. He's a good officer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You see, I know a lot of law enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Now I know this too.
Yeah. So we have to be good on air.
Really, really, it's good to know what's going on.
Yes. Thanks
As
for
a
calling,
family,
sir.
Thank you, and I appreciate for you talking to the Manonko.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm glad that he actually mentioned that he would like to see your dad be police chief once again, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because when my dad retired, right?
Uh-huh.
We were talking about police officers, and your dad's name came up, and my dad was like, "I see that guy becoming chief, pretty soon." And he retired in '88. And then your dad became chief almost, 10, 15 years later.
I know that they were courting him for a while, and he was like, no, that's not my style. That's not my thing, right? Administrative, that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be out there on the field and whatnot, right? So, I mean, he was the chief of police. And So I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm selfish. I like seeing him more often.
Oh yeah.
I like seeing him out, and he's doing some really good stuff. Anyways, he's not really retired,
Yeah.
But it really comes down to him, and I think, will the island be better for it? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely,
I
it
mean,
will. But
I mean, you've seen it. I mean, I grew up when there was a prisoner breakout. My mom would lock all the doors, put blankets on the curtains,
Right.
and my dad would stay home,
Yeah.
keep all the kids there. If there was a car accident at night, we couldn't even go out.
right.
It was
The
like,
one thing about my dad too is
know,
he's so great at crisis management.
yeah,
He really is.
yeah, and
I've
then
seen him in action myself, but then even, just some of the reports that do come out
Yeah.
that I have been privy to, long after he was chief. I'm like, dude, I'm so proud that he is my dad, just
Yeah.
based on some of the reports, and then also some of the articles that have come out. And
Yeah.
of course, there was a time too where there's like controversy and stuff, but to me, that's politics as well. I'm like, I don't know, a governor leaves the island and a lieutenant governor asks for a resignation.
Man,
Like,
you know all the pressure that
it's
I was
politics.
getting, all the pressure that I was getting from my family, like you're going to be the next NGPD, considering that both my dad and me are both the youngest, child, right, in their family, and I was like, man, I don't know if I could do it, man.
Yeah, but all of that stuff doesn't even matter to me because again,
My
I'm
dad
super
didn't want me-
biased, and
Yeah, my
like, you
dad didn't
couldn't-
even want me to be a police officer and everything.
you couldn't tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
he's the best.
Yeah,
Nobody else comes close.
But we saw it. We saw it, living with a police officer that, even during typhoons, you don't see them, they leave us to go take care of other
Yeah.
families. And that was very admirable, and I'm like, man, where's Dad? But I mean, I think it was Typhoon Pamela. I was 3 years old when it came out in '76, right? And we were staying right near Jimmy D's. There was a house that my auntie owned, so we were staying there. And because it was Typhoon Pamela, we ended up having to shift up to Munning Elementary, for the shelter and everything. So I remember watching the Greyhound dogs coming from the next door across the street, and they were housing them with us too as
Yeah.
well. And so throughout that whole time, I don't even remember seeing my dad. And that's why, I mean, when people are like, oh, when cops get into a bad light because some situation happened in the news and everybody just starts, slamming cops left or right. I mean,
Yeah,
they
but
don't
even with all of
realize-
the controversy and
Yeah.
whatnot, he kept to his own principles,
yeah,
and he got his job back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he's got nothing to be ashamed about. I mean, he does everything the right way, and his principles are, better than most.
Yeah.
And he also has this instinct that can't be taught. Like, I don't know how many times if my dad says, don't be here, don't go there,
yeah,
you got to believe him because his instincts have been spot on.
yeah,
And that's also what I've heard from other people. One of the best compliments I ever got was from I won't say his name, but he ended up becoming close to me because of his relative. His relative ended up being very close to me, and he was in jail. My dad arrested him in a raid, a drug raid.
wow,
And he was in a federal penitentiary, right? And he came out of that, and he, comes back home, and I had no idea who he was. He definitely looked rough around the edges. He definitely looked super intimidating. He definitely looked like somebody that has been in jail for 15 years.
yeah,
And then he looked at me, and I didn't really flinch, but I was taught to not flinch, right? Just based on what my dad has told me about all the things that he's done as a police officer, and there could be a time where I might be in front of somebody that he arrests.
yeah,
So, of course, I was scared inside.
Yeah.
But I didn't show him that I was scared. Right? I didn't flinch. And he goes, you know, your dad arrested me. And I was like, here we go. Here we go. And he told me the whole story. And he says, you know what? But because of your dad, I was prepared to go to jail. Because after all of that, when it was just me and him, he prayed over me. He prayed over my soul. And I accepted Jesus Christ. And
as a result?
And when I went to prison, that stayed with me. He went to Bible study. He worked hard to
reform.
Yeah. And so, and he got out earlier than he was supposed to.
Nice.
Right? And so that man ended up dying from a heart attack maybe 4 years later.
Yeah.
And he didn't have an easy life. He was a drug dealer. He did have all kinds of illegal weapons. But I was around him.
Yeah.
At one point, I was around him more than I was with my dad.
Yeah.
Because of who he was to somebody else that I'm very close to.
Yeah.
Right? And he was a changed man.
That is good.
And he never put any kind of like animosity against me taking my dad put that man in jail.
Yeah.
Right? And I believe that and so because of how we were close, I remember my dad coming to where I was living and they saw each other and they had a conversation. And, you know, it was one of those things too, where my dad was like, man, he's not a very good person.
Yeah.
But I see that he has changed.
Yeah.
But of course we're like, you know, we're not stupid either. So we're on our toes, but I'll tell you what, that man really did change his life. I learned a lot from him too. Yeah.
I believe we have a former police officer again.
Okay.
Buenas.
Alpha Day, Way 105, you're on the air. Hello there.
Hello?
Hello. Hey, Joe Maulik.
Before I forget, man, my sister-in-law, Claire, remember that the golf tournament?
Yes. Yes, I do remember.
Yeah, she told me, she kept telling me to say thank you for announcing. Mark told me that there's a lot of people that day.
Yeah? That's great.
Yeah, and Mark and my nephew played golf, and there was the first one.
Yeah?
Number one.
Okay.
So there was a lot of people.
That's really good.
My daughter-in-law keep bothering me to make sure that to call you and say thank you for your assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
What else? Because Mark came up to Ivan's house last night, and he told me to make sure that I call you and let you know and say thank you for your assistance.
Oh, they did all the heavy lifting. All I did was just share the information.
Yeah, but he connected because you're the one who announced it on the radio.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that I'm glad that it worked, right? Because some people will even say, "Well, does anybody still listen?" I mean, we have plenty of people that call in, like yourself, and then even when I go out, they're like, "I'm listening, and thank you for the information that you share." And so, as long as people like yourself are listening, we're gonna be here, Senor.
She told me, Claire told me that, boy, there's a lot of people that showed up.
That's good.
And a lot of golf players.
Yeah.
And Mark and my nephew came in the first place.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So.
Do you play golf too?
No.
No? You don't want to pick it up? You don't want to?
Only my nephew and Mark. Mark's always been playing golf.
he loved golf,
Yeah.
and he even told me to send him off island to the States
Yeah.
and play with Tiger Woods.
Did he do it?
No,
No.
I don't have the money for it.
Well, now
Okay,
he's
then.
now he's got a DUI
Yeah,
and everything, so I
yeah.
don't even know if you want to play
That
with
was
him.
he always watched golf game on TV
Yeah.
and learning all the techniques.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even my brothers, two of my brothers that like to play golf with Mark.
I'm listening.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I inform you on that because I don't want players to keep calling me up and asking me whether I call you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And
No,
anytime.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
anytime.
for-
Anytime. Anytime you got something to share, Senor, we are here for you.
So I'll let Claire know tonight when she
Okay.
comes up from work.
Yes.
I accomplished my mission.
There you go. There you go. Okay, Senor, thank you so
Okay.
much. Adios.
The-
Okay, I'm not going to say who this was, but somebody just sent me a really nice sentiment, and I appreciate that. When I was a photojournalist at the paper, I was sent to some kind of violent crime with a manhunt underway. The crime happened at the Machechi intersection, so I thought about where would be the quickest egress to an isolated area. On a hunch, I went up to Lati Heights towards Marble Cave, and guess who I saw? Your dad. No longer with GPD, but still helping out and following his instincts. So yeah, I appreciate that, and I get a lot of those. I don't know. Maybe it's because they know that I am the son of him. So they tell me. But those stories come from somewhere, from their experiences with him.
Yeah.
Maybe there are some people that I've met and they're like, "Oh, are you the chief's son?" I'm like, "Yeah," and then they don't say nothing, and then I'm like, "Okay, maybe they had a bad." But more times than not, it's always, man, your dad is pretty impressive. He's a great police officer. But I would say, more than a police officer, he's just such an amazing human being. Yeah. Ready to take a break?
Yeah, we'll take a
All
break,
right.
and then we have somebody online, so we'll get to the callers right after the break.
All right. We'll do it. Wave 105.
Stay sharp, stay curious, stay connected. Wave 105, the talk of Guam. Glimpses Media.
Half a day, Guam. The Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association invites you to the Fair Trade Show, Guam's premier hospitality and food service event. Join us April 16 and 17 at the Hyatt Regency Guam from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Experience hands-on training sessions and exciting culinary competitions featuring professionals, apprentices, and pastry talent. Discover new products, connect with suppliers, and celebrate Guam's hospitality industry. Don't miss Fair 2026. Visit ghra.org for details.
Why be at the forefront of childhood cancer research? At St. Jude, we do it because every innovation we make is a moment we give to children with cancer everywhere. But we can't do it without you. Help St. Jude give children with cancer more moments. Moments that can last a lifetime. Learn more at stjude.org.
Hafide Guam will see Pauly Suba this April right here on the Brightside. We're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelu. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio dial locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelie all April long, only on the Bright Side with me, Pauly Suba.
Balanced, fair, thoughtful. Wave 105 FM.
My sweet Lord.
671-922-1051 or 2. That's the phone line number that will allow you to talk to this gentleman right here, the host of the Brightside right here on Wave 105, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, welcome back. Line 1 again?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Actually, he hung
It
up.
don't matter. Okay.
Yeah, call back.
671-922-1051, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, since we were talking about the port, right? There was an oversight hearing the other day.
Okay.
I gave you a couple things. Let's just go to the one where the second link that I sent you,
Okay.
right? Just so, because, Jesse was talking about the port, right? And so this was, this is a bill from Senator Therese Terlaye. And it's in order to strengthen cargo inspections. So let me just pull up the bill one more time before we go to some of the audio clips. The bill is trying to tighten security on incoming cargo and make sure nobody messes with those containers before customs finishes the inspections, right? And so some people have been breaking or tampering with the cargo seals before inspection is done. And even though there are already penalties, they haven't really been enforced.
Yeah.
And they definitely weren't enforced, the penalties, before Director Ike Pareto. And he was saying there have been broken seals before and no one's paid the fine for years prior to him getting there. And he's like, no, people need to be accountable. And so there have been 9 so far in his tenure where they have fined these businesses or these individuals and they have paid the fine. So what the bill changes, any cargo placed on customs hold must stay in a secure area. It cannot be moved or opened until customs officially releases it. And then there's the current fine is $25,000 and it would jump up to $100,000 or the value of the value of the cargo, whichever is higher. But we'll see because there might be some amendments and things could be changing.
Well, in today's news, actually, I read where it said nearly 200 missing
that's
broken containers.
That's clickbait right there.
Yeah. But is there, is there any
Yes,
truth
but
to
that's
that?
not the whole story.
Okay.
Like that's why I don't really like headlines
Yeah,
and
no,
then people
it
walk
grabs
away
your
from
attention,
it.
but
Yeah, but because remember when we were talking yesterday about the ship?
Yeah.
And the ships and the movement, you're in the open sea.
Yeah.
This is the open sea, right?
Yeah.
In the Pacific. And so they're going from where? Sometimes all the way
Are they
from
talking about containers missing or seals broken?
seals broken, but the seals are plastic and they break over, with the ship rocking and all of that.
Yeah.
Only 9 fines. Only 9. And
out of the 200 from
because
the last
all
2
of those
years.
they understand that the seals are either placed on the wrong door
So this
or
is-
the seal is faulty.
So this whole thing is much to do about nothing? Pretty much?
It's not really not much to do about nothing, but that headline is deceiving.
Okay.
When you watch the whole public hearing, that's not the headline.
Okay.
Right? That's kind of like, I don't know. There's nothing else that I could say except people will see that and already make assumptions and walk away like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Corruption.
Yeah.
So this is the seal that they're asking. This is customs asking that all individuals use this seal.
Okay.
This is like heavy security seal. And this is not always the seal. But this is what they're hoping at the end of the day. They're asking the legislature to basically mandate that all seals, not just coming to Guam but in transit, have that seal.
Well, okay, so if it's coming from
you can
LA,
see it on YouTube.
Yeah, if it's coming from LA or Hawaii, what customs is asking is for that particular seal.
Yeah.
I mean, is that even? I mean, does Guam even have the power to stretch that far?
I mean, once they come here,
Yeah.
once it comes here. So if you know that when you come to Guam, if your container is going through Guam,
Yeah.
then you should. And this is not a normal. This is a universal,
If it's universal,
high security seal.
Yeah.
But they're not always seeing this seal. It's a plastic or it's an aluminum.
Yeah.
So all the containers shift a little bit and it breaks.
Well,
and
how many shipping
what's,
lines do we have here?
Colonel, so Matson and APL.
Okay, so yeah,
So it's not hard
It's
to
not hard to
communicate.
say, yeah, hey, look, guys, before you guys
Tell
take
your
anything,
customers
yeah,
to put a better seal on it.
yeah.
So let's just get into it, right?
Yep.
So Senator Shango Matautau asked about how many companies were found to have broken seals on their containers. And so we get into a little bit of that.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Man. Okay, so let me see if I can try to answer this
No,
question.
the
for you,
acting
Senator.
chief can digest it. And,
Okay, thank you. So for the record, since 2020, we started tracking all, I mean, this isn't not in relation to the custom seals, but just all seals that are on containers that are being discharged, right? So since 2020, we started tracking it. Since 2020,
I'm sorry, I think I got the wrong one. Yeah.
or
I'm
late
good?
2025, we
Okay.
started capturing additional information relative to these. So what we have basically in 2024, we had, this is the calendar year now, we had 57 missing seals, 41 broken seals, 2 improper seals, and 2 seals on the wrong door. So a total of 102 discrepancies at this point. In 2025, we had 53 missing seals, 30 broken seals, 1 damaged seal, 4 improper seals, 2 unsecured seals, and 1 seal on the wrong door again, and that's a total of 91 discrepancies. And then for 2026, we've only tracking is 3 missing seals and 1 broken seal total. And so there is a process to this. When the seal is missing or broken or damaged, the port will usually ground those containers in a certain area. The shipping companies will be notified, as well as customs and the port police, and we will come down physically, do a cursory check of the container to make sure nothing is, taken, right? Because it just could have been broken through transit, and then we reseal the container at that time to safeguard that container for further review based upon documentations.
Okay, so based on that, and just, we don't have to look that far, just based on those numbers, how many business licenses were suspended because of these, what you found at the port?
None, Senator.
Okay, why I ask this, Mr. Chair, if we're going to raise the fine to $100,000 and mandate suspensions, I absolutely support that kind of action. I think that makes sense. But I need to hear from you all, what is operationally different at CQA today that gives us confidence or even the like that the new law, if we pass it, you're going to enforce it? The old law, which we're trying to repeal.
Okay, so this is where we tried to explain this to Senator Terlahi yesterday. But so basically, this law that or this bill, this is after we've conducted, like, the containers are in the port, and customs decides that, okay, there's a further examination is needed with this container. So what we conduct is we have three options. One is to ground the container at the port and do a special service request. There's a fee involved in that. That's with the port again. We have another option to send it to our container freight station. It's called a CFS, and we have 8 or 9 companies that are registered under customs that we can bring those containers there for inspection. There's also a fee to those, and they can range anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 per 40-foot container. So that's a big cost, to the importer. The other option that we have is what Captain John Rick referred to was the CQ30, which is a provisional inspection site. And that is an item that we utilize to bring containers to remote locations that meet the criteria. And what we've been trying to do over the years is tighten that area. We're looking at conducting checks of the area. Does it meet the criteria to conduct? Is it conducive to conduct a container inspection there, right? Is there tables and there chairs to conduct, like tables to put items on to inspect it? Is there covering if with the weather and things like that?
Is there a forklift?
A forklift, or we also mandate minimum of 4 people to van the container.
Right.
Sometimes forklifts don't work because they're hand packed.
That's right.
Because of
Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you for your answers.
I want to just cover this.
Keep going.
I think you're also asking about the numbers at the port where the seals are missing, broken, or whatever, right? We know that what we have here, especially now with this new proposal, is going to strengthen the containers that are identified, tagged for customs inspection. Will be bolted by our seal as well. So all seals coming in, they normally have seals, shipper seals. We do recommend, and we spoke with Senator Delahaye and also Senator Jesse about requiring the use of high security seals as now a requirement by all importers of all containers that are coming into Guam, or even cans that will be transiting in Guam. And again, the reason why I explained earlier about the elements, the flimsy seals, because we see the realities here that's happening. We understand that those seals, especially if the container is transiting for 2 weeks in the open oceans, if you're using aluminum metal strap seals, they're going to break. You're using a plastic seal, it's going to break. Now, what is more, more accepted by the shipping industry and a lot of other customs administrations, to include CBP, is mandating the use of high security seals, and these are bolt seals. But again, I think that should be clearer in the statute, in the customs statute. And from there, we can move on to determining penalties and other things that we need to consider before we bring in the full force of the regulation or the authority.
Right, there you go. So before you take people's business licenses away and maybe even fine them $100,000, let's just have a conversation with them and say, how about you buy these high security seals that'll keep you from being fined $100,000.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is what they were both saying. Franklin Gutierrez, acting chief, right, is saying that is really what they're seeing. So those 100 seals that were broken, they were able to find that, well, what is the common denominator? They're just using cheap seals that are breaking out at the open sea. So if you use this high security seal, that should bring those numbers down. Yeah. Before we go to the break, my dad was listening. And so he said, thanks for the compliments. He also wants to compliment your father. He was one of his best mentors who taught him so much. Many police officers love and respected Sergeant J.Q. Sanchez. And then also Uncle Dave Sablon, who I appreciate so very much because he, a partner, right? This is his partner today and his partner for many years.
Many years, exactly.
Right? And so he is the one that is, making sure that my dad is safe and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that partnership that they have, even families become really close with each other. I know Dave's children, and they mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, and I consider them as very close relatives because of the relationship that my dad has with Uncle Dave.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I grew up with his children too.
Yeah.
And because of the partnership that they've had for so many years, for a lifetime. And so I'm super grateful to Major Dave Sablon. And he has also provided so much great advice to Chief of Police's when it was my dad and others.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Major Dave Sablon, some of these other investigations and whatnot wouldn't have been solved. I mean, again, it was Uncle Dave that recognized the vehicle that they spotted, that they were looking for the gas robbery spree.
Yeah.
He identified that vehicle, and then they started to pursue that vehicle, and they were able to arrest him in Upper Tumon.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's that instinct again, right?
Yeah. And mind you, they're retired, but they you know, they still want to protect the island. So man, kudos to Major Dave and your dad. They're still doing a great job.
Yeah, they deserve more than a $10,000 bonus, but that's neither here nor there, because they're doing it for the right reason.
Exactly.
And not the bonus. 3:01 in the afternoon. We'll take the break. KGUM-FM in Dedede, Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Christopher Cruz in Washington. Pakistan has brokered a 2-week ceasefire that ends the fighting in the Middle East and reopens the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S., Israel, and Iran have agreed, although Israel says it won't stop attacking Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb reports from Qatar.
It required a country that was able to talk to Iran and was able to talk to the U.S., was seen as relatively neutral, was able to at least get us to this point.
Iran's Supreme National Security Council says it will begin negotiations with the U.S. in Islamabad beginning on Friday. Iraqi officials say American journalist Shelley Kittleson has been released. She was abducted last week.
Multiple sources told CBS News Kittleson had been identified in advance, with her name appearing on a list of American journalists that the group had been tracking for potential abduction. Kittleson is a veteran freelance reporter who has covered Iraq and the broader region extensively. Kataib Hezbollah is among the most capable Iran-aligned militias in Iraq and has previously targeted U.S. personnel and facilities. Olivia Gazis, CBS News, Washington.
CBS News projects Republican Clay Fuller has ridden a Trump endorsement to victory in a special election in Georgia for the U.S. House seat formerly held by Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I really have heard positive things about President Trump's economic plan, and they just want to see it through.
Fuller defeated Democrat Sean Harris. The two men will face off again in November for a full 2-year term. The Artemis II mission to the moon and back will soon come to an end. CBS News space consultant Bill Harwood.
They're going to brief the scientists later, talking about the observations they made. They're going to start packing up that capsule, because if you've seen all the video of the crew inside, it's fairly cramped. And then for re-entry day, which is Friday, they're going to hit the atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour.
Amazon and the U.S. Postal Service have reached a new package handling deal that's better than expected for USPS. Details on that from CBS's Michael Wallace.
Amazon has agreed to cut the number of packages it ships through the Postal Service by only 20% this fall. The e-commerce giant had threatened to cut that number by 2/3. The 20% reduction will still put a big dent in the Postal Service's revenue. Amazon is its largest customer, but Amazon has been expanding its own delivery service, especially in rural areas.
The Michigan men's basketball team has returned to campus as NCAA champions after beating UConn. Dozens of fans greeted the team upon their return to Ann Arbor. A victory parade will take place on Saturday. Stock futures are up sharply at this hour on word of a ceasefire deal in the Middle East. Dow and S&P futures up more than 2%. This is CBS News.
Go to the ends of the earth, half a world away. Reach for the stars.
If I take time to think, they might go get Brad.
On CBS, Sunday morning.
There's a difference between liking a house and actually getting it.
Redfin is built to make up that difference and close the gap between finding and owning the home for you. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, so when you find a home you love, you're not a step behind when it's time to make an offer. That means less watching great homes disappear and more focus on the ones you'll actually move into and call home. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Talk in Los Angeles, where the first tickets for the 2028 Olympics have just gone on sale.
$5,500, the price for a good seat to the opening ceremonies of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic Games. Although LA 28's organizers have pledged 1 million seats will cost just $28 each, they have been hard to find, or they're not yet available for purchase. Many report spending thousands of dollars, only to also be hit with credit card processing fees of 24%. Craig Figner for CBS News, Los Angeles.
Justice Department lawyers have told a federal judge the government intends to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Liberia, despite a new agreement with Costa Rica to accept deportees who can't be legally returned to their home countries. Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported to his home country, El Salvador, last year. He has repeatedly said he's willing to be deported to Costa Rica. Christopher Cruz, CBS News.
Help wanted signs are harder to find. I'm Mark Hamrick with the Bankrate.com Personal Finance Minute. The latest JOLTS report, that stands for Job Openings and Labor Turnover Summary from the Labor Department, shows a job market in a state of stasis. Hiring has plummeted to its lowest level since the 2020 lockdowns, and job openings have leveled off at 6.9 million last month. What's more telling is the quits rate. It's falling, which signals that workers are losing the confidence to jump ship for better pay. We've entered a lower, hire, low-fire environment. Companies are hoarding the talent they have, but they aren't exactly rushing in to add more seats to the table. For the Federal Reserve, this cooling helps take the heat off inflation to a point, but for job seekers, especially young people, it means the door is harder to open. The takeaway, if you have a stable job, you have leverage to stay, but the window for a big job switch is closing. Focus on building your emergency fund now while the labor market figures out its next move. For more, check out Bankrate.com. I'm Mark Hamill.
Knowledge is power. In just 60 seconds, the Evil 360 provides you a unique experience and a detailed report of your body composition for you to take action to improve your health. The Evil 360, turning information into inspiration to live a balanced lifestyle. Evil 360 is exclusively at the Take Care Wellness Center. Go to Simply Book Me or call 671-646-6956 extension 7260 for more information and to schedule an appointment with a member of the Take Care Wellness
Hafide Guawusi Pauly Suba. This April, right here on the Brightside, we're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelaide. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio down locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelaide all April long. Only on the bright side with me, Pauly Suba.
Turn us on and turn up the island dialogue. Wave 105, the talk of Guam, Glimpses Media.
Welcome back to the show, 3:09 in the afternoon. We are KGUM, Wave 105. This is the Bright Side with Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
We do want to thank our sponsors of the Bright Side, Chili's Grill and Bar. Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Subway, eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at subwaypacific.com for pickup at your convenience or for delivery right at your doorstep. Online ordering at subwaypacific.com is powered by Good To Go. We deliver at Subway. You got to refresh to be fresh. And GTA, we start with you. Biba Metkalis.
Viva! All right.
So, real quick, I'll give you another update if you're just tuning in. There is a developing weather system, Invest 90 W East, northeast of Chuk. It is getting stronger and more organized. Experts say there's a medium chance it becomes a tropical storm or typhoon, likely after 24 hours. This is coming from the National Weather Service Guam office. And so Brandon Eilett's his statement that he prepared earlier says that they're still unsure about how strong it will get, where exactly it will go, if it's south of Guam, over Guam, or north of Guam, and when it will arrive. It could be late weekend or even early next week. And so these details should become clearer in the next 12 to 24 hours. And by midday tomorrow, around lunchtime,
we'll have a better snapshot.
They'll give us another update.
Okay.
They will give us another update. So just in time, they'll give us that information before the Brightside starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever information we get and gather, we will share that at the beginning of the show again tomorrow. But there was a public hearing this morning on GMH's cafeteria services, right? They call them dietary services, and they want to outsource it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe this is Senator Sabrina Salas-Matanani's bill. This is about like right-sizing GMH, right? This is something that GMHA is asking for as well, to outsource its cafeteria, including food preparation for patients and the cafeteria operations. So right now, GMH is saying that the law limits how far it can go in outsourcing these services. The bill is meant to remove the restrictions so the hospital can decide whether food service should be kept in-house, outsourced, or handled through a mix of both, depending on what saves money and works best for patients.
I want to know how much, what is the comparison of having cafeteria workers versus it being contracted out to a private firm?
That's what Senator Therese Talai was asking,
Yeah.
and we don't know all that information. And it kind of ended on that. So we'll play the audio.
Is there
clip.
any savings or?
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying yes, there is a savings.
Because
However, history has shown that
yeah.
it doesn't always turn out that way.
I'm kind of iffy about this whole thing only because it's going to be a contracted service outside. And if the vendors don't get paid, and I'm almost assuming that this is going to be a vendor, right? If that vendor for the food service don't get paid, that automatically means, okay, we're going to shut down services just like everybody else where, hey, and it's going to be every 3 months, we're going to see this supplemental budget to take care of this.
Well, let's see, because GMHA, according to the oversight hearing, they've got a handle on their finances. And, and they are showing their projects. They're almost all complete. There are a couple projects that still need to be financed and completed. They're in the works. And if they work closely with the legislature to get those monies and get the systems that they need where they talk to each other.
I'll be optimistic, but man, I started working at the legislature in 2016. And I've been doing talk shows since 2002. That's when I first started.
The tone was different, though.
But here's the thing.
3 days ago,
I've heard about all the great things that GMH is going to be. Oh, yeah, we're in the up and up, and everything's great. And, for like almost the last 25 years, nothing,
Sure.
I want to, trust me, my heart of hearts says I want to be optimistic, but at the same time, you guys have let me down in the past.
Well, it's different leadership.
Well,
let's
throughout the whole 20
people,
years, it's always
not
been
the same
different
leadership.
It's always been different leadership.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, like what Dr. Eusebio said is this is the first time that doctors are at the head of the table, because it was always administrators, and now they're actually doctors that are at the head.
I respect, Dr. Jolene, but considering there is a massive shortage for doctors, I think doctors should just be doctors, and don't even have to be, be an administrator of a hospital. Now, no, I there is some truth to what Dr. Eusebio has said, but considering, right? I mean, I just give the doctors the tools and let them do what they need to do, and can you imagine if we actually did have a professional administrator that has run hospitals to a T and perfect, and I mean, if we have to look outside, then let's do that. But I mean, I just don't know. I mean,
well, at the oversight hearing, we didn't touch on it because there were so many other things. But they were asking about the how is the recruiting going, right, for the next CEO, because Dr. Jolene is still interim.
Yeah,
and so there's more interest. They got a couple more applications.
Okay,
it's still open right now because the board is not fully satisfied with the amount of interest, and so they are now trying to put that ad in other places so it gets further reach. So there are more people that would be that would see that this position is available and try to get hired as the next CEO.
Yeah, I know there's a shortage of lawyers too as well here on the island. And but speaking of lawyers, we do have one online.
Okay. Off at Wave 105, you're on the air. Do you mind just switching the camera?
Yeah.
You're on the air. Attorney Pete.
You're talking about who should be the next administrator. Guam should reach out to Major General Tracy Arturo Lujan Smith. If she's retired from the Army, she should come back. She was head of the 807th Medical Command, which takes care of everything west of the Mississippi. He was the one that came to Guam during COVID and set up that hospital.
Which one?
You remember her?
Which hospital?
The mobile hospital.
Oh, okay.
She's the first Chamorro 2-star general, female. First 1-star general, I think, as well. Actually federally recognized. Female 1-star and now a 2-star. Who knows, she might even be a 3-star by now, but she would be the perfect candidate for the job.
Okay, hopefully she saw the ad because it's still out there.
Yeah, she's her first cousin is the Roderick Leon Guerrero.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they're first cousins. And then I think there's another one of their first cousins is also a general. So it's like 3 cousins that are generals.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there. I know people listen to your radio station, and
I hope so.
That's a good suggestion. If anyone in the hospital board or down at Adaloop is listening, they should really reach out to Major General Tracy Arturo Lujan Smith and see if she's available for the job.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. That's that.
All right. Have a good one. Line 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Off at Wave 105, you're on the air.
Hey, Pauly Suba.
Off a day, Kaduku. It's been a while. Everything okay?
Are you still my friend?
Oh, we're doing good. Better now hearing from you.
Yeah, I always said that's my BFF. I try to come down to that level too, but yeah, it's been a long time, man, and I think I'm going to start calling myself Cuckoo because not too many people like Kaduku anymore.
You call yourself whatever you want when you call the radio. We'll call you whatever you want us to.
I know, I'll be whatever you want me to be. But anyway,
yes,
I heard something about, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard the Attorney General and the governor, I think he was asking her to give the people a $1,600 stimulus household, and she said no.
Yeah.
There's some truth to that?
Well, it's not because she doesn't want to. It's where's the money coming from? So Senator Jesse Lujan teaming up with the AG are saying, that $104 million that you have in ARPA money, you can divide that up to all the taxpayers, and that comes up to $1,600 per taxpayer. And so she said, well, that's a nice idea and all, but that's not what we are lawfully allowed to do, especially since we've already appropriated that money. We've allocated that money already for a project, and the U.S. Treasury has already signed off on the project. And to go back on it, that would be that could also mean that we lose the money.
Well, that's cool. At least it goes to something very, very good, because it goes to the people that need it, and we can always turn around and find that money somewhere else. But that would have been nice if she said, yeah, we are in a crisis, that people do need it, and sometimes you got to give and take, and it always comes back around some way. But that would have been nice. And I also heard Section 8 is running out of money, so people on Section 8 better start paying some money if they're under Section 8, or else they get put out on the street again.
Well, they have to turn in their paperwork, right? Yeah.
Understandable, but if that happens and a lot of people can't afford to pay whatever they're going to make them pay, then we put people back out on the street, right?
Yes, that's unfortunate. I don't think anybody wants to kick anybody out on the street. I don't have all the information in front of me. However, when you are receiving benefits, you have to prove you are who you say you are, and you also have to prove that you qualify for these, right? Otherwise, that becomes waste and fraud, and you cannot try to commit fraud against the government, not the federal government and not the local government.
Go through a lot of that to get Section 8
yeah, I agree.
And if that happens, then what we do is we put people back out on the street, and that's going to be too nice. You know what I mean? It just creates another problem.
It's not.
And that $1,600 stimulus would have been nice, because we are in a crisis, and maybe she's not, but a lot of us are. And I'm just saying, and it's been a long time, man, and I haven't heard from you because my phone, my radio's been dead, so I'm back on the air again, back in life, and I'm just hoping we can make this island great again, because not just the rich survive, we get the middle class, and we the people at the bottom of the sticks, man, and nobody gets left behind. We find a way to do it, because it's our fault that everything went up from the rent to the power, and water to the house, to the land, to the homes. Just up with home, 500,000.
Right. I'll just be honest with you, Kaduku. $1,600 is not going to help anybody in need when you think of the grand scheme of things, right? I think if you really want to help the people of Guam, especially the most vulnerable and the ones that are really hurting, we have to create a better quality of life. And so I think that $104 million to go towards the infrastructure in the back road can create a better quality of life. And if they connect a new hospital to that project, then absolutely it creates a better quality of life, right? And so we have to create a culture of a better quality of life, better services, better government services, all of that. Yeah.
Everything just keeps going up and up and up. So it's never going to. I mean, who can afford a $500?
Right. Well, maybe and $1,600 is only going to be. It's not even a Band-Aid. It's a sticker. It's a little tiny star sticker.
And some people need to live and die here too, man, and not just the ones that can afford it.
Yeah.
Because it is what it is, but we got to make it better for those that might not make it, because what we're going to do is just turn the other eye, and not pretend it's not even there, because it's going to be there. It's always going to be there. And the way things are looking, it's not going to get any better in quality and all that. I don't think so. And by the time my grandkids get old enough to get some tomorrow or infrastructure or whatever, the homes are even going to be 10 times more. So I'm just saying, Pauly, I'm just saying we need to look down the line, because we're creating muscles that we ain't going to be able to turn back on. And it is what it is. But But people try out there hurting bad, they're going to know what it feels like, and this how it's good, so it's been good. And we need to make it even better because a lot of people are going to get left behind, Pauly, and that's not nice.
Point.
And anyway, Pauly, hey,
okay.
Thank you for listening to me, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling. Fair point. Okay. All right. So, again, my opinion on it is the $1,600 to taxpayers, not to every person, not to every person in your household, just to the taxpayers, right? And that could be multiple people in your household. For me, it's not even a Band-Aid. It's like a gold star. Everybody's happy when they get a gold star in class. Oh, you get a gold star and you like it and you have it. But that gold star is not going to get you a better life. It's just not. It's very temporary. And so with gas prices being so high, it's going to get us from one month to the next. But we need, as an island, we need to get not just from one month to the next. We need to just be able to sustain ourselves. And I think that even finding ways to empower and support farmers and anybody else that wants to, so they can depend on themselves for sustenance, that's a start. Because again, we are always looking from the outside to support us. 95% of our goods comes from outside of this island. We are pretty dang close to 100% being dependent on everybody else. And we're definitely not thriving. We are barely surviving. And so what I want from my leaders is, how are we going to create or find solutions? Like our caller said on Friday, and it stays with me, and I appreciate her for calling. We need problem solvers, not problem makers. And so that's what I'm looking for in my leaders. Do we want to take the break, or do you want me to play this audio clip? Or you want to play this audio clip?
Actually, the one from the legislature.
Yeah, for the cafeteria services. This is Tello Taidagui asking if employees could transfer over to whoever they outsource their cafeteria to, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a vendor, would this company take on their employees? Okay. And Jesse Kenga, you'll hear Jesse Kenga. You might hear a couple others. Yuka Hechanova is a popular name that comes up. And then also Dr. Jolie Nuggin. Either one of those, definitely Jesse Kenga is going to come up, though.
Okay.
With this plan. Okay. So and then they leave it up to the administration to move forward with that.
That is correct, Senator.
Okay. So we always worry about, when we're contracting out services and we look at our employees that are currently there. Now, will there be negotiations with a vendor, or, there's, of course, going to go through the procurement process. You're going to put the specifications in there. Would one of them be there to avail the company of using the current employees?
That's a great question, Senator. Yes, our RFPs include first right of refusal for our employees. Okay. And if you look at the cost for the employee, they're wage earners at approximately $12, maybe $14 an hour, but it's where the government benefits bring, I think, substantial increase to the costs on the government side. We can potentially see the vendor offer these employees a higher wage and more training opportunities. That's been our experience.
As the oversight chair of retirement, I look at our employees. Once upon a time, back in the 80s, being a government of Guam employee had so many great benefits to a point it could bankrupt our retirement. And that's why people wanted to go with the government of Guam. But it does have some security with that perspective. So what happens then of these employees if they decide to jump? Do they, we now have like 401ks and stuff like that. So how are you going to ask the vendor how they're going to abide with the retirement, or how are they going to fulfill the retirement benefits?
So it would be dependent on the selected offers, fringe benefit offering to those employees that are affected by the outsourcing. And ultimately, the government has a lot of latitude to include in the specifications what extent the first right of refusal being one, compensation and other factors are evaluated when they submit the request to offer.
Okay, please keep that in mind when you're doing your RFP and you're soliciting.
All right. We'll pause there, and then when we come back from the break, we'll move forward with concerns from Senator Therese Terlai. She's asking if we are truly saving by contracting out the cafeteria. And so we'll play that audio clip after these right here on Wave 105.
Hungry and don't want to break the bank? Chili's has you covered. Starting at $12.99, enjoy Chili's new and improved 3 for Me meal deal. That's a starter, an entree, and a drink. Mix and match combos like chips and salsa, an old timer with cheese, and an ice cold Coke. So many options to choose from, you might need to come back just to try them all. Available all day for lunch or dinner. Only at Chili's. Great food and value happen here.
Craving Chili's? Let's make life easy. Grab their signature wings, crispy, saucy, and comes with a special treat. Or pick up a Chili's bundle promo, packed with all the Chili's faves. Order exclusively via good-to-go delivery or takeout. At Chili's, great food and value happen
Off
here.
today, Guam will see Pauly Suba. This April, right here on the Brightside, we're bringing you a special series, The Road to Adelut. With the primary election fast approaching, it's time to get informed before you head to the polls. We're sitting down with every gubernatorial team talking about what matters most to you: education, public safety, healthcare, and the future of our island. I'll be asking the questions, they'll be sharing their vision, their plans, and their commitment to moving Guam forward. So stay informed, stay engaged, and keep your radio dial locked on Wave 105. The Road to Adelut all April long, only on the Brightside with me, Pauly Suba.
Staff losses at the National Institutes of Health have scientists saying the U.S. could see fewer medical breakthroughs. I'm Ariel Zients, and this is your KFF Health News Minute. Amid funding cuts, the NIH has lost more than 1/5 of its staff since the start of the Trump administration. Physician Mark Ernstoff left the agency after doing pioneering cancer treatment research.
If you're not affected today, someone in your family can be affected tomorrow.
Scientists say the exodus threatens the country's ability to fight disease. As measles cases surge, doctors worry they'll see more kids with potentially deadly complications. One rare neurological condition caused by measles can kill children or leave them paralyzed, especially if they get sick before age 5. Treatment options are limited. Doctors say the best protection is to avoid getting sick in the first place. The recommended 2-dose vaccine is 97% effective at preventing measles. There's more at kffhealthnews.org.
3:33 in the afternoon. Right about now, it's our first look at our Real Deal traffic report. Standing by with the very latest on your daily commute, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
All right, it looks like nobody spilled anything on Marine Corps Drive, so we are good. This shouldn't be too many issues except for those pesky traffic lights.
Yeah.
Other than the pesky traffic lights, looking at the roadways, Route 1 looking okay. Route 4 looks even better. 8 looks really good until you get to the Tri. 10 is okay, except for at the Tri, and also where 4 and 10 meet. And then also looking at 16 on your way down to Harmon Loop. Everything is pretty normal, per se. Let us know, though, 671-922-1051. Your Real Deal Traffic Report brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com. And Mobile Oil Guam. Go farther on every journey with Mobile Synergy Supreme Plus Fuel, keeping your engine 3 times cleaner. For better gas mileage, visit guam.mobile.com for details.
Once again, the number is 671-922-1051 or 2. This is The Brightside, and he is the host of the show, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, let's get back into the public hearing that took place this morning on GMH's dietary services. and outsourcing it. So GMHA says that the cafeteria operations currently cost about $4 million to $5 million per year. That includes personnel, food supplies, equipment, repair, maintenance, overhead, and utilities. And so they say that the cost per meal has almost doubled over the last decade. In 2015, it's about $14.12 per meal. In 2025, about $26.97 per meal. And so the increase is due to higher government pay costs, rising food prices, and the cost of maintaining aging kitchen equipment. And so they testified that if outsourcing is successfully procured and negotiated, it expects about $1.4 million in savings in fiscal year 2027. And so that's where Senator Therese Terlahi is asking, are we truly saving by contracting out the cafeteria services? And you'll hear some of that. She'll even ask about some of the employees and the numbers.
Okay, here we go.
$1.4 million savings include the vendor's going to pick up the $2.7 million in employees?
Yes.
All right. And you were saying that there was that you're estimating they're going to get savings in bulk purchases. I don't know. I just remember when we did this, or not me, but when the senators did this for DOE and thought there was going to be cost savings. That's not what ended up happening. And the employees, I think, all preferred to have the government of Guam jobs and benefits. And I think even some of you came from the private sector. So I think that's still relevant today as to whether they want that. And I know one of the other things stated this morning was that this is not about getting rid of people, but I'm looking at the bill and the law that currently exists. So the law currently says that you can contract these services out. It says shall not, that if you do contract, shall not apply or pertain to replacing, supplanting, and or eliminating GMH's in-house dietetic services department. And that's the part of the law that we want to have stricken by this bill. So to me, it's absolutely about that ability to get rid of employees as opposed to protecting them like this requires. So the bill, if it's passed the way it is, has no protection at all for those employees. And I know you're saying you have an RFP already made?
No, we don't. And Senator, to clarify, all employees, especially those that are merit recruited employees, will still have to go through any merit process for their potential reduction in force. And we would follow the personnel rules and regulations, so we ensure that we protect the merit class employees.
So that's the process that they're allowed. There's no special process in this that you're saying. I thought you were saying they're going to be picked up by these contractors.
It will be built into the RFP, Senator, that they be given the first right of refusal for any employment opportunity generated by the outsourcing of these services. For those employees that do not select to take the offer up, they're not automatically displaced, if that's the clarification you're seeking, because they're still merit employees and we have a process to undergo.
That they get offered in another agency, or they could if there's an opening, right? That's the process?
Or rather, Senator, if there are other areas of the hospital that their skill sets are needed, that they could be reassigned to those departments. Yes.
Yeah. So how many employees are we talking about?
We have 38 employees, Senator.
38. Can you tell us, Yuka, why, just tell us a little more about your analysis of why you think there's a $1.4 million savings.
The savings will consist of
the reduction in the staff
benefits
and the benefits, and also a big portion of that is also the purchases of supplies, which is mainly in the dietary department. It's for the meats, vegetables, the ingredients that we use to prepare all the meals. We also have significant maintenance costs to maintain all of the aging equipment in the kitchen. That will also be reduced as well.
When they did an analysis when that Gita hired the GMH consultant, what did the GMH consultant say about reducing employees or dietary services? Does anyone know? I know you guys reviewed the reports and provided your feedback as well. Did they say that's the problem that GMH has, that they need to reduce dietary employees?
Not specifically, no.
What does anyone know what that consultant said about it? Could we get a copy of that so that we could also look at that compared to this I guess proposal to improve the hospital versus what the GMH consultant said about improving the hospital?
And I think you answered the question, Senator. It is a GITA consultant and a GITA report. The hospital was asked if we would support the release of the report, and the Board of Trustees extended that support to GITA. We can definitely follow up on your behalf if they can share a copy of said report.
All right. So as far as you know, there's no recommendation, though, for what we're seeing today?
No, and to the best of our recollection, that report instead talked about the government of Guam merit system and how it had imposed some unfair practices of maintaining employees when there would be, in their eyes, a preferred method for displacing employees easily, which I think is opposite of what
Say that again? That we have, say that again?
Yes, the part of the report didn't offer dietary services. Instead, they discussed, to my best recollection, an addressing of our merit system, and they were hoping that the policymakers might entertain a new sense of unclassified status at the hospital in order for employees to easily be offloaded or dismissed at will by management.
That's concerning. Make it easier for GMH to say goodbye, right? I mean, that's how I'm listening to that.
Well, I want to know
you're at will.
Yeah.
Change the status of the employee.
How much
Be
was
like you're at will, just like any other private company.
Yeah.
And so
no protections on retirement or the benefits. Wow.
That, I mean, I'm going to bite my tongue and want more clarification on that, but that's what it sounded like.
It did, yeah. I mean, it's very, very
concerning.
concerning.
Did GMH consultant report ever recommend cutting dietary staff, outsourcing food services? The answer, no, not specifically. Instead, the consultant focused on problems with the government hiring system, the merit system, and suggested it's hard to remove employees when needed. And so maybe making it easier to remove employees without any of the safety nets for the employee.
So Senator Sabrina saying on session floor, cut, was too premature on her part?
So I'll bite my tongue because we need more clarification.
Yeah.
However, they do have the report, and they said that they'll try to get a copy released. So you know Senator Teresa Lai is not letting this go.
Of course not. I mean, I wouldn't, because
so she wants more clarification, and so she's like, it sounds like I'm for this if we can truly show that we are saving the money that you say you are. However,
what if Mr.
just
Jesse,
like GDOE, we found that was not the case.
What if Mr. Jesse King say, well, that was a GITA report?
Yes.
And we needed to know if they could be released and everything. I'm like, okay, taxpayers paid for that report, so it should have been released.
Therefore, he did say on the board is accepting the, the report.
Findings.
The report. So I don't think that they're trying to hide anything.
But I'm glad that they pointed out that the recommendations of the cafeteria services or not even in the report, or they haven't seen it yet, or whatever. But
well, it wasn't part of, right? They did
of
not
downsizing.
Yeah, they
pretty
did
much.
not recommend cutting the dietary staff.
And so this bill, what is this bill going to do? They don't even know how much
It
they're going
would
to save.
allow them to outsource.
Yeah,
the
but
dietary staff.
but even asked and answered, how much are you going to save? Oh, yeah, we don't know.
No, they said
One-
$1.2 million, right?
Okay.
So they said $1.4 million.
Okay, 1.4, but that's basically on benefits with the employees and equipment.
Yes.
Maintaining
Cheaper
equipment.
food supplies. Yeah.
Cheaper food supplies and maintenance.
Most of
okay.
it is the employees and their benefits, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
38 employees.
38, yeah. And
Wow.
so they still allow them to, maybe they can train them earlier. That's the whole reason why I played the earlier one
Mhm.
with Senator Tello Taidagui.
Yeah.
Because they could transition to another job at GMH and possibly be retrained. And so they're all, those things are still open,
Mhm.
right? But one more, because again, this is how it was left. This is how the public hearing ended. And so I'm like, it's just a very awkward way to end a public hearing with no real clear answers to Senator, which I think are very fair, her concerns.
All right, here we go.
What you've been told, what's your legal analysis that you're working on, your cost benefit analysis as well. If there's a savings and we're going to get equal quality, then of course it's a good idea. But I'm just saying, in past experience, we haven't seen that. So I'd like to see
Senator,
that.
there's two issues here. One is, so the current law allows us to outsource the cafeteria, but it doesn't allow the vendor who is cooking in the cafeteria to also cook for the patients. So the cost savings would be that this vendor can do bulk purchasing for all the food that's prepared in the hospital, whether it's for the cafeteria or for the patients. That's where the cost savings is
I
going to
understand
occur.
that's what he's saying as well, but that's why I want to see your legal analysis, why you say that's not allowed, because I just want to see that, yeah.
Thank you,
Because it's
Senator
very clear
Tideway.
that contracting's allowed, and then the only restriction is that you can't get rid of the in-house dietetic services people, yeah. All right, thank you, Madam Chair. Jesus Mas.
Thank you.
All right, and then that was it. Anybody else want to testify? No? Okay, that ends the public hearing. Yeah. So she's really asking if you can prove there are real savings and the same quality of care, then it makes sense. But past outsourcing efforts didn't always save money.
Mhm.
And so, again, that's Dr. Uggan that you heard.
Well, it goes
say-
back to what you said, right? I mean, yesterday we were talking about this in not Senator, but Dr. Jolene had said, hey, look, with these vendors, because we are not trusted, we have to go with what's there, and they're going to charge even more.
Yeah.
And so if that's going to be the case, if I was a food vendor and I wanted to, like, hey, hold on for a second, I'll take this contract on, but I better be paid on time. And because I know there's going to be a possibility where I'm not going to be paid on time, normally what I would charge is this amount, but I'm going to charge just a little bit more just in case, guys. And so, again, do we save or, there's 38 employees' lives that are going to be, pretty much impacted by this bill. And they already said that look, even the studies showed that we're
not just them, right? But
Yeah.
it's a force multiplier,
Yeah.
and their families.
Yeah. And so if they're just doing this, just because they want to do it, and it's not, and even their study from the Gita study even said, there was nothing said about dietary or anything, sourcing it out, the cafeteria. Why are they even doing this?
Well, because I think that they've also looked within themselves and are trying to find ways to save,
Mhm.
right? It would benefit all, because where do they get their money from? From their patients, from the insurance, and then they also do get subsidized by taxpayers.
Yeah.
So the right thing to do is to look within and where can we cut. To be honest with you, it does make sense to look at the cafeteria and to look at security. Whatever is not healthcare, direct healthcare. We can argue though dietary services is healthcare, right? You need sustenance.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
You need to eat.
Yes.
So I get it, but I see where GMH is coming from. But Senator Teresa Lai is asking these fair questions. Prove that it will save you money.
Yeah.
Prove that it will save taxpayers money. Right? And so we saw already, she brought up the whole cafeteria with GDOE. Right? It was privatized. And we would argue that we probably do like it better when it wasn't privatized. The food was probably tastes better. You had the government employees. There was a better quality of life all the way around.
Yeah.
For the students, the teachers, and the cafeteria workers. However, why did we do that? To save the government money.
And did we save money?
I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And some people will say we absolutely did because it costs a lot of money when you include the benefits, not just the pay. And when Jesse Kenga did say, more than likely these employees will get paid more if they transfer over to the company. And they will be provided the training that we can't provide them. So there are benefits to it. However, Senator Tello Tadagui is correct too, that some employees would rather just stay in the government because they don't want to lose their benefits.
True.
Yeah. And that, to me, I'm not going to judge an individual on they've got to do what's right for them and their family. They're making decisions too. So I'm not going to get in the way if somebody's fighting, any of those 38 employees fighting to keep their jobs as government employees.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not.
When you think about it, I mean, when I was looking at the whole GMH thing, right, anybody that's past 15, maybe even 20 years, those are the people that you give them the first right of refusal. Anybody that's 10 years and down, 10 years and 10 years within the government, then you give them like, hey, look, guys, I understand, but you're nowhere near retirement at 30 years, so you're gonna get paid more, and you have first right of refusal, to leave. But anybody that's been within 20 years, going on 20 years, trying to finish their 30 with retirement. Leave those guys alone.
Right. I don't think that this is a bad idea. I think, again, everybody's on track. How do we save the government money?
Yeah.
Because ultimately, how are we saving money, taxpayer money?
Well, now it's going to come down to this. What are the cost savings with turning the service to a private firm or a private business versus how much is that business going to charge the government?
Yeah.
So if we're saving 1.4 million and the contract states that we have to pay them 2.5 every year, there is no cost savings there.
Yeah. And also to your point too, you have to also take in the reputation that GMH or just government of Guam has with paying their vendors on time. And so we run the risk of not paying our vendor for cafeteria services, and then they cannot supply the food for the patients, right? And then they go back to the government and saying, we need a subsidy to pay this vendor, otherwise our patients can't eat.
Yeah.
And then we also lost this vendor,
Yeah.
so we have no vendor. So now it's going to cost even more money to get an emergency
and we've seen
vendor
that
in here.
time and time again.
So
which is why I want to be optimistic,
right. But that's the reason why you weigh the pros and the cons. And that is why I appreciate these public hearings, and I appreciate the policy makers bringing up these points, because these are the points that are coming from the community. We want to know what is going to happen if this bill goes forward or does not.
Yeah.
What are the pros? What are the cons? What are the consequences? What are the benefits? And this is all playing out for all of us to watch.
Yeah.
And I like that. I don't like seeing, I don't like it when you can tell when meetings happen prior to, and it's very scripted and they go through the motions. When people are uncomfortable at the public hearings because of the questions being asked, that means this is genuine.
Yeah.
That means what's happening there is organic. They're fleshing out real issues. And I appreciate also GMH and their leadership for answering the uncomfortable questions.
Yeah. Again, man, this is something that I would like to see. Is there any word on when the next public hearing would be on this?
No, that's it. It ended. That's why it was very awkward.
Well, what about
that was the end of that public hearing.
Well,
so now they can. What's the next step? Markup, right? And then what's the next step?
Well,
get it onto the agenda.
But there are questions that are left.
Well, Senator Jesse can get those to. Senator Jesse. Maybe he will be senator one day. Jesse King will is happy to give Senator Theresa Lai the report, right? And then during the markup, they bring the report in, and then we're gonna hear it. I guarantee you, we'll hear it. If Senator Theresa Lai doesn't get her answers by the time this gets on the session floor, she'll bring it up during debate.
Yeah, and then I guess calling for the body to reconsider the motion. Yeah, that seems to be the thing nowadays, right?
Yeah,
because questions aren't answered, and we need to know this, and we need to know that. They should have rescheduled for another hearing for the questions to be addressed, as opposed to going
on. There was actually another public hearing for another bill that took place right after.
Yeah, but no, those questions: how much it's going to cost? The cost analysis: how much is going to cost? For what is the savings if this bill goes through?
Yeah,
and what is the cost? Compared to the savings.
Well, $1.4 million.
Yeah.
However, again, Senator Theresa Lai goes, I want to see that on paper.
Yeah. Well, oh well. Yeah.
Real quick, right? Because I just don't want to touch on something else. We'll save it for tomorrow. I know two bills were introduced. One, Senator Sabrina Salas Mantanani, and then the other, Senator Tello.
What's the bill?
Well, they are both connected to the Bill 206 that just passed.
Okay.
So, we're not going to get into it now because we're just 2 minutes away, but more than likely tomorrow we will. So let me just give you another if in case you're just tuning in, especially if you're tuning in specifically for Odin Fino tomorrow, the National Weather Service Guam put out a statement earlier today that there is a developing weather system, Invest 90W, that is east-northeast of Chuuk. It is getting stronger and more organized, and they're saying there is a medium chance that it becomes a tropical storm or typhoon, likely after 24 hours. How strong it will get, they don't know yet. Where exactly it will go, they don't know yet. It could go south of Guam, over Guam, or north of Guam. And they don't know exactly when it will arrive. It could be late weekend or early next week. We'll get more details. Things should be more clear. They should be clearer by tomorrow about midday. And so we'll get more information for you tomorrow on the bright side. Don't go anywhere, because Odin Fino tomorrow is coming up with Senor Ron Laguardia and Senor Holly. I know they've got some guests coming into the studio as well. It's all brought to you by the University of Guam Moral Studies Program. And if you're not doing anything, 6 to 8 p.m., try to win some money.
Yeah.
$700, $200, $100. Total of $1,000. Power 98 is giving it away over at Boonies from 6 to 8.
Nice.
If you want more information, go to Power 98's Instagram. That's our sister station. You're invited too. If they say, who invited you? Say, Pauly invited me. And so you could actually take that money away from any of the Power 98 listeners just by showing up. So do that. Go to the Instagram, get the information, and we'll see you tonight between 6 and 8 at Boonies. That's across PIC. They're in the Royal Orchid Hotel, right? Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to get out of here. KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for